Hello, I'm Peter O'Hanrahan, and welcome to this short talk about the workshop called Building Better Relationships with the Enneagram. If we've had significant relationships in our lives, which is pretty much all of us, we know that people can be wonderful and also people can be difficult. We want our relationships to work well, and when they do, we're happy. They bring us meaning and purpose. They bring us comfort and connection, and then they also support our physical health. We make big efforts on behalf of the people that we care about. We get feedback oftentimes. We're asked to make changes in our behavior. We handle conflict. We negotiate, and we do our best to open up our hearts. So relationships can provide a lot of motivation for us to work on our own personal development, and that's usually necessary. The Enneagram provides big help with all this, and I think hope that we can work on our relationships and get to a better place. It's not the only way to work on our relationships, but it's a very effective way, and people in many countries around the world are using the intelligence and the wisdom of the Enneagram to become better communicators, to create rapport with different kinds of people, to reduce unnecessary conflict. I'd say at a deeper level, the Enneagram helps us to develop the awareness, the acceptance, and the empathy that allow relationships to flourish. As you probably know, the Enneagram describes how 9 personality types have different points of view, different ways of seeing the world. So we say different ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Understanding our style and how it's sometimes similar and often different from other people's style helps us to appreciate these different ways of being in relationship, of being in the world, and I think helps us to celebrate the diversity in the human community. Every one of the 9 personality types has something really valuable to contribute. When we know our own Enneagram type, we have access to a lot of information about how we can become more skillful and more open-hearted in our relationships. When we know other people's types, we have access to a lot of very specific suggestions about how we can address their needs and concerns. It's just a great map of human psychology. I've been working with the Enneagram for 40 years, and it's had a huge impact on my life, and I don't think there's any better psychological system available today to help us manage our relationships. For me personally, it's been a huge help in relationships with my wife and my 3 kids. I'm a type 8, my wife is a type 4, and if you know the Enneagram, you know those are very different points of view and different ways of being. So we've had a lot of differences and a lot of issues to work with over time, and still do, but we've gained a lot of ground. The good news is that all combinations of personalities can make for good relationships, great relationships, if we're willing to do the work. And the Enneagram tells us what that work is. It's also true in the workplace. We have a lot of experience now about how the Enneagram can help people become better in their communication, a better team member, a better leader, helping people manage conflict. It's very predictable and also very practical. So the Enneagram describes 9 patterns of personality, our personality, which is true, but there's more than that, which is that we are more than our personality type, and no one can be reduced to a number on the Enneagram. Inside each of us, there's a deeper place where we could say a core self or an essential self, and this can't be categorized because it's unique to us. The problem is that personality often covers up or obscures our essential self with its patterns and habits and ego defenses. And so when we know our patterns and we can work with our patterns, we can open up more space for that essential self. And our relationships thrive when essence is present. Okay, so in this workshop, we'll explore how each of us can become a better communicator, both in general with everybody, but also more specifically with the other types. We'll talk about how we can manage our emotions and the defenses of our type that can get in the way of our relationships, how we can handle our personal reactivity and stay more physically grounded and centered. And we'll look at how love and relationship is expressed in 3 centers of intelligence: our bodies, our hearts, and our minds. Through our body center, we take action on behalf of the people we care about. We do things for them. And with our heart, we feel for others, and we have our empathy for others, and sometimes our devotion for others. And it's a connection through the heart center. And in the mind, we're able to see who that other person is and what their potential is and how we might be able to support that potential. When I've got 3 days for this workshop, there's also time to explore the influence of the instincts and the instinctual subtypes on a relationships, and how people of different subtypes can learn to get along, negotiate our differences with one another. At this point in the Enneagram movement, there's a lot of great books out about relationship and websites that talk about how we can use the Enneagram. And I'm glad we have these resources. And yet I think it's a whole other level of learning can happen when people gather together for a couple of days for committed work with the Enneagram, and we share their experiences and their questions and what they've learned. I'm a teacher in the Narrative Enneagram School founded by Helen Palmer and Dr. David Daniels, and so I'll be using a basic format in the narrative approach, which is interviewing people, actually all the participants in the workshop, on 9 type panels. And we'll talk together and we'll hear what are the challenges and the opportunities, and what are the strengths that we bring, and especially how different types want to be seen and supported, and how we can support each other. Being together in person for a few days not only allows us to hear what people have to say and share what we have to say, but it also allows us to learn from our heart centers, so we can be in the presence of other people, and with some pausing and breathing and staying inside ourselves, we can actually practice our empathy. We can also learn from our body center by being able to sense the different energetic qualities of the 9 personality types. In addition to the panels, we'll have guided meditations, we'll do some breathing exercises, of course, and we'll have plenty of small group discussion. So please consider joining us at this workshop for a deep experience of working with the relationship, working with the Enneagram to build better relationships. If you're interested in more information about this work, you can visit my website, which is theenneagramatwork.com. Thanks for listening. I'll add that the next time I'll be teaching this workshop is in Singapore, September 20th to 22nd. And so for information about this and how to register, please visit theenneagrammsingapore.com.